Hello and welcome to Creatures of the Realm, episode 11. Tonight we are going to talk about the Merfolk and the Merrow. Before we go on to this, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central we have episode 10. Can you believe it? Where's the time? Episode 10. It is campaign 3. Join us for tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central, and we're going to have a blast. But tonight, we're going to talk about the Merfolk and the Merrow. What are they? What are those things? Mythology from all over the world. Mermen, mermaids, merpeople. Those are the pronunciations for them. Read them in storybooks, Dungeons and Dragons. They're all over. The Japanese call them Ningo. Half women, half man, half fish. They live in the sea, in the ocean, all over the world. There are 8 types of merfolk. We're going to go over them. First, what is your favorite merfolk? Is it D&D type? Is it out of the storybooks? Is it, the Disney mythology? What are your favorite type of mythological merfolk? Let's go over, before we get into the aspects of merfolk, let's talk about what they are in Dungeons and Dragons. They're aquatic humanoids with upper body of a human and lower body of a fish. Merfolk adorn their skin, scales with shell decorations. Merfolk tribes and kingdoms span the world, and their people are as varied in color, culture, and outlook as the human races of the surface. Landfolk and merfolk rarely meet except by chance. Those starry-eyed readers tell tales of romance through creatures along the fairways of islands. Merfolks lack the materials and practical means to forge weapons beneath the waves, to write books, to keep lore, or shape stone to raise buildings and cities. Now, before I continue, that is the mythology in Dungeons and Dragons, not the worldview of them, which is interesting. Let's continue. Let's read on, shall we? They said that merfolk lack the materials and practical means to forge weapons. In comics, you see these aquatic creatures with tridents, and swords, and different things were found in the ocean from ships that have capsized and so forth. It says here, as a result, most live in small hunter-gatherer tribes, each of which hold unique value creeds. Only occasionally do merfolk unite under the rule of a single leader. They do so to face a common threat or to complete conquest. Such unifications can be the beginning of undersea kingdoms, with dynasties lasting hundreds of years. Sounds cool. Now, merfolk, D&D. You have the skin, you have the tail, and let's put a picture up of merfolk, because we're going to do that here. You can see it in the intro, but I'm going to show you here because I like pictures. So we're going to see where we can get a picture of a merfolk. Now, remember, each mythology has a different, mythology of merfolks. Okay, let me see. Where is it? Okay. All right. I'm going to send it right here. There you go. There it is. The merfolk. Now, you see in the picture, this individual has a trident. He's wide-eyed, he's in the water, there's aquatic fish around him. That's the D&D type of creature we're talking about. And as they continue with the D&D, we're going to talk about worldwide view of these mythological creatures. You gotta have me a drink, right? So let's see here. In Dungeons and Dragons, again, the armor class, the hit points, all that stuff doesn't really mean anything because you could homebrew these creatures to make them a little stronger or a little weaker depending on your campaign or one shot. It's a pretty weak creature. You have armor class 11, strength 10, dexterity 13, constitution 12. Again, it's a challenge rate, doesn't really matter, beneath. And it's 25 experience points. It's really, really low. But that's the perception of it. It depends on your game. They have melee attack, ranged weapon attack, +2 to hit. Pretty decent. Not really anything marvelous. Other than they could go underwater, that's pretty much it. Which, for a mythological creature, for a creature of this type, the Dungeons and Dragons version is pretty shitty. I wouldn't do it that way. I would homebrew it. I would have, just like the picture, a cool trident, pretty muscular, or if you want to have a mermaid, a woman, she would have long flowing hair, she would have some form of a gauntlet, make her cool looking. We're talking, for those of you who just chimed in, we're talking about Merfolk. And we're talking about how bad they are in Dungeons and Dragons. They really, really don't. There's a chat section. Whoop. Sorry. They really don't emphasize how beautiful and how powerful these creatures are. Because if you look in the monster manual, now 2014, it's pretty shitty. Other than it being half human, half fish, it can swim, big deal. It can swim fast. That's its best feature. Other than that, it's pretty shitty. So it's up to you folks as the storyteller, dungeon master, game master to really bring that aquatic creature to life. Do that. It really does make a difference, especially in your games. So you have this mythological creature. We're going to go over the worldview of Merfolks because their books, storybooks, they're all over the world. I'm talking the British Isles, Ireland, Scotland, they're all over the world. And you really want to use these creatures in your game. Again, they got to make sense, but maybe you're on a ship, you have 10 people aboard your massive ship, and all of a sudden, there's rock formations in the water, the ship hits the rock formations, water jets up, and the ship capsizes, 9 out of 10 people die in the water, but you manage to survive, and you see these mythological creatures underneath the water. Make them beautiful, bring that lore that you know. Don't use the lore in the monster manual because it's pretty crappy. It really does. It gives you pretty much nothing. It's an empty thing other than, they do, look, Let me read it again. So pretty much, they're aquatic humanoids. Upper body being humans, upper body human, lower body is a fish. And, they're in the water. They lack material and practical means to forge weapons beneath the waves. That's crap. To write books and keep lore, or to shape stone to raise buildings and cities. That's pretty pathetic. So, and I'm really saying that because it pisses me off that these creatures can be more. Well, let's separate the Dungeons and Dragons, and let's talk about the actual lore. Now, mermen, mermaids, however, merfolk encompasses everything. In Japanese, the Ningo, in Japanese, and there's 8 types of merfolk. Starting with the merfolk. The merfolk underneath the ocean, thousands of races of merfolk underneath the ocean, and they can be anywhere in the globe, which is fantastic. They do have cities, they do have, and I love it how the Monster Manual says lack means. No, they do have means. How else would these creatures survive aquatic monstrosities or different type of aquatic animals in the ocean? How? If they lack the means. Talk about not making any sense. So let's continue. Sorry, it just irritates me. Merfolk are in the British Isles. They live in the sea. They're also freshwater mermaids. They travel under the sea as far as the Solomon Swan, the city of Warsaw. So I probably bastardized that city, so I apologize by pronouncing it incorrectly. Either way, that's beautiful because they're not found just in one area. They're all over. They're merfolks that are called the Ireland Merrows. They're not always peaceful, but they intermarry with humans. They're seen on many islands in that region. So they get along with humans. They interact with humans. And imagine having these creatures in your game. And imagine using the lore behind that. Imagine a setting in Ireland, a setting in the British Isles, somewhere that's beautiful, and having these aquatic creatures come out of the water and falling in love with humans. It doesn't have to be a love story. It can be anything that you, as a writer, as a game master and a storyteller, can do. Also, there is merfolk that are called finfolk of Scott. Known as the Finn. They're mostly human in form, but they're shapeshifters and they're unfriendly people. Imagine this. Imagine you are in that region of the world. All of a sudden you see these individuals jumping in the water, coming out, and changing their features. Shapeshifters. And what's awesome about that is, you ever get, like deja vu? Oh man, I could have sworn I've been here before. Or I could have sworn I saw something in the corner of my eye. Or just there's something that blurred past me. You imagine rocky formations by the sea, water splashing up against the rocks. You look briefly, and you could have sworn you saw something swimming. That's what I mean, right? So these shapeshifters are called Fin folk, or the Fin. They're not friendly, but they do stuff like that. Let me continue on. I have a lot of notes. Either way, let's continue on. The ocean around the western isle of Scotland are called the Blue Men. The grayish blue skin. They have long hair, long faces as well. Very, very beautiful. Again, this is a lot better than the Monster Manual in Dungeons and Dragons that gives you a plain myth, lore behind this creature. And I would be pissed whoever wrote this. I'd be like, dude, what's going on? So anyways, let me continue. These individuals, these blue men, as they're called, they keep the water restless, even in good weather, which is great because it's that mythology behind it. So you are a lighthouse. You're at the upper portion of the lighthouse. You're looking at the ocean, and you see something, and just the water splashing up against the lighthouse, rocks, and then all of a sudden something jumps out of the water, and then in the distance a storm is raging, lightning, water moves. Something is happening. What do you do? That's what I mean, guys. That's what I mean. I'm excited. This is great. Let's continue. This is awesome. The Mer people of New England. Trust me, because after I do this, we're going to do the Merrow. And let's hope the Merrow is a little better in the Monster Manual than what I have here. For Merfolk. Okay, so the Mer people of New England. They're half human, half fish. We all know that part. They have the power to raise storms, songs. So now, music, they sing. And that's where other mythology comes through. So now you have this mermaid singing in the distance, in the water. She just jumps up top of the rocks and starts to sing. Now what does that do according to this mythology in New England? If they're treated with respect, they'll warn people of land of bad weather. So they'll warn people. And they have magical cooking pots. So all that magic, all that lore, you're getting a lot more than just a blank page. Here's a good one. Who here loves coffee? Remember Starbucks? Remember that little logo? We're going to go into it briefly, but there's folklore in France, Germany, and Luxembourg. It's the feminine spirit of fresh water with two tails or split tails. And you know that emblem is on the Starbucks coffee. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So you're getting a lot more with Merfolk than what is given to you in the Monster Manual. Because you have to remember, not everything is going to be plain. Not everything is going to be empty. These mythological creatures of the water are there for a reason. They're not only stories to tell your children and your children's children. It's to understand explore. You have this fantasy in your mind, theater of the mind, to generate, project, explore. So when you tell a kid these stories, they're always happy. Always, wow, I want to throw a rock in the water. And you ever go to the water, you're swimming? This happened to me. I went to Anna Marie Island and was in the water, and I'm swimming. The manatee went right by me. And manatees are not, they're not going to hurt you. They're beautiful, aquatic creatures. They're massive. And holy cow, you know, I don't wear goggles. I open my eyes underwater, and let me tell you, it scared the crap out of me. The thing was huge, but it's a wonderful experience. I've seen them out of the water, in the water. I swam with dolphins. Went in the water in Florida, and this is a funny story, but I'm not going to tell you everything about the story, but I will tell you that I went in the water, swimming, and you're pretty far from shore. Looking, these dolphins are cool, and they're like 20 feet away. You know, dolphins, they like to play around and jump out of the water and do goofy stuff like that. But let me tell you, I consider myself a decent swimmer. Not an awesome swimmer, but a decent swimmer. Swimming and swimming, and I'm like, I'm tired. I have to go back. But I have to give props to my wife, because she was in the water and she looked and she was out there. So I had to go back. I mean, I was tired. But, you know, again, imagine Merfolk, or half man, half fish, in the water. Imagine swimming, looking under the water, and you're seeing these mythological creatures come up. Fantastic. And I've got other stories. I'll tell you what, another time in Florida, just watching the spectacle, dolphins jumping out in the water and playing around, it's cool. You know, I love water. I love the water. Just seeing dolphins jump out like that, and just wildlife in general. I've seen a shark, a little one, on the shore. Yeah, it's cool. Seen one in the water. It was it wasn't a tiger shark. I don't remember what type of shark it was, but it was an aggressive one. But it swam near. We got out. It was cool. You know, it's an experience, and when you have those experiences in your life, and you bring those experiences in your game, you tell your kids, or you tell, you know, your family about these stories, and their eyes just open up. And imagine a merfolk. Imagine being in the British Isles. Imagine being in Scotland. Imagine being anywhere in the globe. You're sitting on a cluster of rocks, and next to you is your kid. You're telling stories of these mythological creatures to see. And to me, I don't know about you, that is fantastic. As a kid, that just opens up the kid in you. It brings out the kid in you. Because as a kid, you want to hear that. You want to hear those stories, those fantastic events in someone's life. And even if the story is, you know, stretched, kid, a little boy or a little girl's not going to know. They're going to be like, wow, Look at the Loch Ness Monster. Look at that. You know, people are taking pictures, and there's one that looks like a shadow. It looks like a hand out of the water. Actually, it looks like this. And you know, it comes out of the water, and there's a shadow. It actually looks like somebody did this. And I took a picture of it and said, "Hey, Loch Ness Monster." But you know, I'm not going to judge anyone. I will tell you that stories like that are awesome, are fantastic. I love that. And when you bring a mythological creature like the Merfolk, it encompasses that venue of aquatic creatures, a city in the ocean, high rises. I had one in campaign 2, Tellurian City. One of my players were playing a race that happened to be Merfolk. Now, that encompasses beauty, it encompasses imagination, magic, lore, all those things. I don't know, what is it about people that look like fish in the water, but it's freaking cool. And if you like comics, you have Aquaman, you have all these characters that are in the water that are cool. So, Dungeons & Dragons, shame on you, because the 2014 version of the Merfolk sucks. Alright, we're going to move on from Merfolk to the next one we're talking about, is the Merrow. The Merrow is a little aggressive, a lot aggressive. So, remember, now you have the Merfolk that gives you your setting, the plot, the city underneath the water. But now, let's look at Dungeons & Dragons Merrow. Is it better than Merfolk? Is it a little bit, does it give it culture, story? Does it give it life? We'll see. Let's read. Alright, next up, the Merrow. Merrow, they haunt coastal waters, preying on fisherfolk, merfolk, and any other edible creature that crosses their path. These savage monsters snatch and devour unwary prey, hauling drowned corpses back to their underwater grottos to feed. Transformed merfolk. So they were a tribe back in the day, and their idol was a demigorgon at the bottom of the sea. Not knowing what it was, well, guess what? They performed rituals and all that other stuff, and being in the demigorgon's lair, guess what happened? They transformed these merfolk into these evil, hulking monstrosities. They're called the Merrow. They're Prince of Demons. So again, a little more lore, a little more mythology, the Merrow. But I gave you more. Monster Manual still is not giving you what you want. So, what makes this monstrosity is chaotic evil. Armor 13, hit points. We're not going to go over any of that. All I know it's, again, dark vision. Nothing really can breathe air and water. And it has weapons. It has a harpoon. Wow. So now you have this. Now look at that creature. Look at. He has a trident, and this dude has a harpoon. So, in the picture, in the monster manual, the Merrow has a harpoon. And granted, it does damage, but here's the thing. If you're going to use these creatures, if you're going to use these mythological creatures, then use them right. What do I mean by that? Well, simply don't use the monster manual, because it kind of sucks. I'm sorry, it does. It's, look, it's evil. Wow. It's going to attack you. Claws, +6 to hit. Deadly, 20-sided at 6. Wow. The range of a harpoon is 20 to 60 feet. Still, even with the harpoon, the attack is a +6. 2d6 +4 piercing damage. So, that is his most intensifying. What about the creature is evil, right? So, what about giving it a look? The facial feature is grotesque. It's a monstrosity. It's a monstrosity. Well, so why not change the features? Why not get aggressive with that? Where the party has to make a charisma saving throw or a wisdom saving throw. You know, something charismatically, where there's a fear check of some kind. That would be interesting. Oh, you're making it too difficult. No, no, no. This is a Merrow. This wasn't a layer of a demigorgon. And yet, he's a pansy. Oh, wait a second. But if you have a party of a level 1 or a level 2, he's not. Yes, he still is. Because if you have a party of 5 or 6, it will pounce on this dude. He has 45 hit points. Big deal. So now you have this Merrow, who happens to be an aquatic creature, monstrosity, half human, half monster, half fish. So now you have 3 aspects. And it was turned by the demigorgon in his rituals. The Merrow was born. Now, bring the lore that I gave you from the Merfolk and have this story of a tribe. Make up the tribe's name. Come up with a name. And then that tribe was lost. And then have the Merrow makes his way. Why was the tribe lost? Well, it's the Merrow that's protecting a certain area. Does it want his lair? He doesn't want anybody to trespass in his lair, so he starts killing people. Does he have to be a he? No, it can be a she as well. It doesn't matter. Now, you're looking at this lore. Use the fin. They're unfriendly and they're shapeshifters. Imagine a fin being a Merrow. Oh wait, but it's a Merfolk. You could change that. But you're in Scotland now. A different region. You have this shapeshifter. This Merrow looking about, watching people in his lair, watching the trespassers and killing them each and every one. How? His massive harpoon. He has a harpoon, or even have a sword. Doesn't have to have a harpoon. If you have a whip, however you want to do it, he could have a massive gauntlet. You know, with spikes. Make him cool. Because the Monster manual version sucks. So make him cool. Homebrew it. Make him a little bigger than 6.5 feet tall. Make him 7. Make him 10. Make him huge. Make him muscular. A Merrow is supposed to be threatening, and he's not. So make him bigger than life. It says large monstrosity. And this dude, the picture looks good. He has almost like a catfish type of face. You know, and his face is kind of elongated right by the ears, and the ears are kind of elongated as well. So make him like a catfish type of face. However you want to do it, make it good. Now, in your games, the underwater city scenario, to me, is fantastic. There can be anything. Anything can happen in this aquatic city. But according to the monster manual, they're incapable of doing things. But yet they have this Merrow that has this history of the Demigorgon, has a connection to the Demigorgon, and all of a sudden, there's no connection with everybody else. So how are you going to connect to me? I would slash the Demigorgon, and the Merrow could be a deformed version of the Merfolk. And it is in a way, but leave the Demigorgon out of it, get it out, and make something that's real, make something with lore, magic, a little bit of connection, but make it to where the creature is deadly, yes, Merrow, but it's doing it for a reason. Maybe he was a captain of a ship. Maybe he was human. The ship capsized. He almost died. He was taken by these aquatic creatures called the Merfolk. They helped him until he didn't want their help anymore. So they cast a ritual on him to change his future. Because he did not want their help. He pushed them away. So now you have a story. And this individual ritual causes disfigurement, causes pain. It's in pain 99% of the time. He's the water. But he can't be the water in the land a long time. Limited time on land and limited time for water. That's his price for shunning the Merfolk, because they wanted to help. And at first, he took their help, but then pushed them away. The Merfolk didn't understand human emotion, so they took it as disrespect. They took it as something evil, per se. So they pushed it away. And now this person becomes a monstrosity, Merrow. A little better than what you're getting in the monster manual. You're getting a connection to a D&D lore. Yes, I give it that. But here you have more real, more human connection. Humanity as a whole is beautiful, but Humans have a tendency of making tons of mistakes. Those mistakes have consequences. Some are very evil, and some mistakes can be small, and depends on how you're dealing with other people. And in this case, this captain of the ship was dealing with a mythological aquatic race, which he didn't know how to understand that aquatic race. So he thought, oh, they're helping me, great. But then he's like, whoa, I need a little space. And all he wanted to do is have a little space. But the creatures underneath the water, the aquatic race, the merfolk, didn't take it as that. They pushed him away, or he pushed them away. They wanted to help him. He didn't understand that. He saw them as, oh, he would, for one, there is no city underneath the water. Humans don't have fishtails. So he took it as, oh shit, what am I going to do? So yes, humans have qualities that are good and qualities that are really bad. But those consequences is what makes a story. Each story that you write, there's stakes. If you don't have stakes, there's no story. And if you don't have consequences, why bother writing it? So you have this captain of the ship who pushed away the merfolk. They offered help. And he started pushing and pushing. And at first, he got their help. And after he was healed, things were good. And they kept pushing. He kept pushing them, and then they got angry. Human emotion. They got angry. They would use magic, or ritualistic magic, that caused deformities and changed his form. So he became the Merrow. He became the chaotic evil entity. But is he? He was misunderstood. So there's misunderstanding between two different races. So you have an aquatic race underwater that just wants to help, and this captain of the ship, oh, my ship went down. 9 other people died for my family and friends, and now what do? I have nothing to live for. So yeah, he has all these things going on in his head that are negative, and this aquatic race is trying to help him. Let me do your hair, let me do this. And he's like, get away. And that's when the negativity comes in. And you know how negativity just likes to absorb everything, and when it's too late, there you go. So you have this ship that's capsized underwater, and it becomes a layer of this mirror. So now you have the story. Now you have the story. You have the setting. It can be in Scotland. It can be anywhere around the globe. So now you have the story. Thank you for giving me a like, Facebook. Appreciate it. Thanks, John. Now you have those. Now you have those stories. Now you can bring that story to life and enter the realm of the Merfolk. What goes on in the city? Their daily lives, their guards, their warriors, who protects the city, do they have a king and queen, a monarch, stuff like that. Yet, if you use the Merfolk in the monster manual, they lack the materials and practical means to forge weapons beneath the waves, to write books and keep lore. As a result, most live in small hunter-gatherer tribes, such as which holds unique values and creeds. Why? Create a vast race of merfolk that live underneath the sea. The city. It's massive. Why settle for small things when it can be bigger? Write their daily lives, stuff like that. Bring your party to something bigger. The campaign, the one shot can be in this Tellurian City. In Tellurian City, I had a campaign too, and the guys went underwater and stuff like that. There's some cool things. But I tell you, merfolk, mermen, the fin, the freshwater mermaids, those are lore that makes me happy. Those are lore. That's lore. That's fictitious creatures. It's the beauty of it. I'm so passionate about it because I get angry because when you read stuff like this, I know that they pay people to write, and they didn't do good. They just kind of said, oh, well, let me just, this guy has a black shirt and a cap and rimmed glasses. That's it. No top hat, no suit, no 5 rings in his fingers. Doesn't have a cane. He rides a black stallion. Just give it a little bit of imagination, folks. Put a little bit of imagination. You can look it up. Do a Google search. Do something. Look up the folklore. Look up anything. Thank you, JP. Thank you. Look up those things and write that story. Don't just settle for an empty shell. Empty shell, cool. Don't just settle for emptiness. Don't do that. No, yeah. When you are behind the screen, you want your players to have fun. But I want to have fun too. I love writing, but I want to have fun too. And you develop these stories. Bring those stories to life, and your players will look for it. Bring those stories to life. Get into those stories. If they're in the underwater city, find a way. How do you breathe underwater? Oh wait, I have a tank. Or, like I did in my story, they ate certain plants, which enables them to breathe underwater. And let me guess, they did a great job, and they found out how to do it. And they were swimming in the water, and you could hear my dog in the background. At 10:50 at night, you hear my dog barking, but it's okay. She's eating a bone, and the bone gets stuck in between her teeth, and she barks because the bone is stuck. A piece of the skin is stuck in her teeth. That's why she's barking right now. Not because somebody's here. It's because she's barking and she's trying to get the skin of the bone or whatever fragments of the bone is stuck in her teeth, and she's trying to get it out. So she barks multiple times. It's great. Love her to death. Her name is Winnie. She is an English setter. Beautiful dog, but very, very like I said, you're going to hear background noise. Either way, have a vision for your story. Don't just give your players nothing. Give them a story. Give them a city underwater. Don't just have one merfolk, have thousands. However you want to do it. Maybe a little tribe. I just told you about the Merrow, how the captain, his ship capsized. Now he met the merfolk. But develop a story, bring that story together, and let your players enjoy it. Because the main goal of a DM, storyteller, game master, however you want to call it, when you sit behind the screen and watch the players laughing, enjoying themselves, coming up with plans, that's the best feeling you could ever have. And I love talking to you guys and streaming with it because it's like having a friend right here now talking. I love talking. So talking to you guys helps me. You know, I work today, so I am really tired. So if I'm a little draggy, I'm sorry. But really enjoy the story. And when you sit back, watch your players enjoy the story, and watch them just immerse themselves in your story. That's the best feeling in the world. Just watch. There was one time where for 30 minutes they were talking and trying, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy myself. And it was cool. I love those moments because those moments are rare. Let me tell you. And I'm not saying that any DM can't do it. No, it'll happen. Everyone will enjoy those moments. And not all moments will be like that, but when they are, you're going to notice and experience joy. I don't know how else to say it. Joy. Usually, the difference, and I'm going to tell you the difference between Season 2, Creatures of the Realm, and Season 1. In Season 1, I went over the monster manual. I really didn't give any emphasis behind it. I just said, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I wanted to do something different for Season 2. I wanted to get a little bit of lore, real life lore, or maybe, fictitious stuff, and throw it in there and kind of make a comparison with the monster manual and what is in that lore, what makes it good and stuff. But not just to go over the stats and stuff. I know that can be kind of boring, and you know what? It's cool to geek like me, and I know there's a bunch of geeks out there like me that love the lore, but love the stats as well. So I do kind of both. But sometimes I briefly go over them. Sometimes I go over them in detail. But this season, I really want my emphasis is to bring out the lore. Bring out that creature, what makes them good, what really makes that creature good. Because those creatures, and especially aquatic creatures, really bring out the magic in your story. And you know what? You can say A Little Mermaid was my favorite animated feature. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But it is a cool story, and it's a merfolk. So, it's a version. But I'm not going to mention that. You could watch the animated feature on your time and however you want to watch it. But I will tell you that that's how it's done. And I'm also doing a little bit of DM talk where I get into the story more and how to do it, how to bring out flesh to flesh out these creatures, how to bring them into your story. And I also give a little sequence, which I'm doing a little different than season 1, of bringing out the creature in a setting, in a little bit of a snippet of a story or a sequence where you can see how that creature is used. So that's what I'm doing differently. I hope you guys enjoy it. I do. I love doing Creatures of the Realm. I love discussing different creatures, especially mythological creatures, and the ones in the water, which, you gotta love it. They're cool. And I like talking with my hands, so sorry. But either way, that's all I have for you tonight. Tomorrow, I have a special stream. It's called The Hunter. One of my players, George Christopher, my best friend, he plays 2 characters in the vampire campaign. He plays Georg, which is an true vampire kindred, and he also plays a hunter called Stephen Keller. And tomorrow at 3 p.m., we're going to go over Stephen Keller's backstory. It's a little bit of a side story, a little bit into swinging into the hunter side of the vampire world. So after that, episode 10 continues at 7 p.m. Central. Join us. Be there. Get the word out, please. Subscribe, like, and everybody on Twitch. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Continue. Let people know about Playerole. We're getting bigger. So I'd love to have you, talk to you. And one day I'll have a whole bunch of people talking in the chat, and we can go over any creature you want to talk about. Either way, you have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow.